Our speaker for tonight's seminar, Tianji Yang. She's the manager of Linky's public speaking program, as well as the Linky's order tournament management. So Tianji will be presenting the Linky public speaking tournament. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post your question in the chat while Tianji is presenting, and then we'll be addressing your questions at the end. Also, 我用中文讲一下，就是Tianji 老师他的讲座之后，我会用中文大概5分钟，最多不超过10分钟的时间来把Tianji 老师所有的讲的内容来给大家再快速的用中文梳理一下然后大概就是5分钟左右的时间所以但是Tianji老师他是用英文来讲 ，OK， so without further ado, Tianji, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry, for that introduction. So we have quite a few slides to get through today, so I'm going to get started right away. As Henry mentioned, please leave a message in the chat. If you could direct those messages towards me for any questions that you have, we can work through them at the very end. So 4 things that I'm going to be going over today. So first, quick tournament overview. Second, the speaking categories, which is going to be the most important part of today, going over exactly what are the categories, what should students be preparing for. Then we'll talk about what the deadlines are for the tournament, and then at the end, we'll go through questions. So a few pieces of tournament overview. So this tournament is 1 day. It is happening on December the 12th. It is open to students in grade 6 to grade 12. We do have a junior speaking category depending on how many junior speakers do sign up. So if we don't have a lot of junior speakers signing up, we won't have a junior speaking category. But if you are a junior speaker, that would be grade 6 to 8, please let us know during the sign up process. The cost for this is $30 per speaker, and it will be happening online over Zoom. All the Zoom links will be sent out closer to the date, closer to December the 12th. And last but not least, there are a few very exciting prizes during this tournament for the top few speakers here. So there are going to be Linky credits, gift cards, and even crypto that is going to be offered as prizes. So I highly recommend, if these are things that interest you, to sign up as soon as possible, because it is a first come, first served tournament here. We're capping it at 100 participants. In terms of the schedule, all of this information is in the invitation. So the schedule is in the invitation. If for some reason that you did not get it, please let me know at the end and we can work through it. But as you can see, it is 1 day long and it will end approximately in the afternoon. So this is going to be an approximate schedule. Obviously with tournaments, there are times that might change. We might go ahead of time or even run a little bit late. So keep that in mind if you have something like late on December the 12th, that there might be a chance that the schedule is going to change. In terms of the speaking categories, so generally there are 2 types of events that we're hosting. There's the asynchronous categories and there are also synchronous categories. So we've gotten a few questions on what the difference here is. Basically for asynchronous, that basically means that the different speeches are occurring at different times. So we expect students to submit a video of their speech, and then it will be judged offline by our various judges here at the tournament. So this is not happening on Zoom. You are submitting it ahead of time over email, and we will be judging these prior to the tournament. The day of the tournament, though, that's when the synchronous events are happening. So basically, that means that we will require students to be presenting their speech over Zoom. And then in live, the judges will be assigning scores over Zoom right after the speech ends. So asynchronous means it's happening before December the 12th, you are submitting online, and it will be judged offline. Synchronous means it will be happening on December the 12th. In terms of speaking categories, so the only speaking category that is going to be happening asynchronously is going to be category 1. So there are 2 that you can choose from. Students can either do an interpretive reading or they can do solo acting. And if you choose either of them, that means that you have to prepare ahead of time for these 2 categories. We're going to be going over in more detail afterwards on what each of these categories mean. So don't worry if you're a little bit confused right now. I will be talking about these in more detail. But for asynchronous, that means you must prepare and record this ahead of time and submit before December the 12th. Synchronous events, as I said, they are happening the day of. So they're happening over Zoom and it will be happening on December the 12th. So there are 2 categories here that are happening during that time. The first is category 2, which is persuasive speaking or after dinner speaking. You will have to choose one of the 2 and they're also prepared. And then category 3 is impromptu speaking. So there is no amount of preparation ahead of time. Students will be given a topic right then and there to basically create and deliver a speech from. So these are the 3 categories that we will be doing during the tournament. Okay, so let's get into a little bit more detail. For category 1, students can choose either interpretive reading or solo acting. So you cannot do both. You need to choose one of the 2. So for interpretive reading, what does this mean? An interpretive reading basically is a reading of a passage from a poetry, like a piece of poetry, novel, or a short story. So literally you can have your piece of paper and you can be reading from that. That is okay. It is not memorized. You do not need to memorize anything. It's simply a reading. So students should basically use their voice to convey emotion, fluency, narration, and characters for this interpretive reading. You're not allowed to have any props and costumes. And it's basically just reading from a passage with your voice. So that's interpretive reading. Solo acting, on the other hand, is basically a memorized speech. So it's a memorized speech from a section of a play. So you can possibly do something from a Shakespeare play or any other play. And students should essentially put themselves in the character's shoes and try to act it out. So it's essentially more similar to drama. You're pretending to be someone in a play. Props and costumes are allowed, but they are not mandatory. So it's up to you, up to your discretion if you would like to dress up or have a prop. For both of these categories, you need some kind of an introduction. So your introduction is up to 1 minute, and you need to introduce what the piece you're doing and why you decided to do this piece. Perhaps it is because there's a significant value to you personally, but there needs to be a good reason as to why students chose this particular piece to do. It is 5 to 7 minutes long, including the introduction. So please keep that in mind. I highly recommend students do a few practice runs and make sure they're within time, because if not, you will be deducted points if it goes either under time or over time. For category 2, same thing. You are choosing either persuasive speaking or after dinner speaking. You're not doing both. Persuasive speaking basically means you're doing a speech on a serious topic to try to persuade the audience of your point of view. It has to be a problem solution method. So you have to be proposing a solution to a certain problem that you're trying to solve. So it could be one of the solutions for climate change, for example. You can do a persuasive speech about that. Even though this is a serious topic, you still are allowed to use humor within the speech. So feel free to do that. And there are no props allowed. After dinner speaking, on the other hand, what this means, it is a speech that is given after a formal dinner to an imaginary audience. So the kind of audience that you're giving the dinner to, you are free to use your own imagination based on what the topic of your speech is. So you could be giving a speech to a company's employees, for example, or you can be giving a speech for people attending a conference. It can even be imaginary creatures as well. So in theory, you could also be giving a speech to like a group of vampires per se, if you're going that far. But it really is up to you and up to your imagination to make sure that the topic you're giving is relevant to whatever imaginary audience you are giving your speech to. So similarly to Persuasive, you are not allowed props, so it's just you. And these two speeches are recommended to be memorized. So you should be memorizing these speeches. It is 4 to 5 minutes long. You are allowed like a small index card of notes, both sides. However, it is not recommended that you use it. You will get more points if you do memorize your speech. And last but not least, impromptu. So category 3, impromptu speaking. You are basically going to be given a topic on the spot during December the 12th, and then you will have 2 minutes to prepare a speech. So it could be any topic. Students will not know what topic they're going to get, but they are essentially going to be given 3 topics to choose from. So it could be words, quotations, phrases, or statements that are given to the students. And then afterwards, a student will pick one of the 3 to talk about. So it could be something like umbrellas, so talk about umbrellas, or it could be talk about why money makes the world go around. So it could be any amount of topics, but you will get 3 of them to choose from, and then 2 minutes to prepare. Your impromptu speech should be 4 to 6 minutes long, and it is up to the speaker to interpret the topic however they would like. They can talk about why they support the topic, why they're against the topic. They could talk about a personal story related to the topic. It could be anything that the speaker wants, as long as that speech is impromptu, meaning that they're not like taking another old speech that they wrote about and just delivering that. It has to be something that they came up with during the 2 minutes of preparation. Within these 2 minutes, students are allowed to write notes. However, those notes cannot be used during the actual speech. So no notes during the speech, but you can prepare within your 2-minute time frame. So important dates. If you are interested in signing up for this tournament, the registration deadline is November the 20th. However, even though you register before, we cannot guarantee that you will get a spot because it is first come, first served, and we are capping this tournament at 100 participants. So I highly recommend, if you are interested, to please sign up as soon as possible so that you guarantee your spot. Registration is going to be on Links Key Online. So if you do not already have an account with us, you will have to create an account to register. Afterwards, the category 1 video deadline. So this is the asynchronous category that I was talking about earlier. Students must submit by December the 3rd. So please do that. And then the tournament day, as I mentioned before, is going to be on December the 12th. So we're at the end. So I'm going to look through the questions. But before that, Henry, if you want to do a quick summary in Mandarin, you can do that.
Great, thank you. So Tianji, can you stop your screen sharing, and I'm gonna start my screen sharing. All right, thank you. 好，我用中文很快的给大家再梳理一下哈，就是刚才田季老师讲的所有的关于比赛的内容。那先说一下 public speaking 的比赛，有很多种。那我们这一次的比赛是完全的和省比赛和国家的比赛，就是这个 Ontario Provincial Public Speaking Tournament 和 Canada National Public Speaking Tournament， 我们是和这种官方比赛和它的赛制是完全的吻合的，所以这是一个真正的竞技型的 Public Speaking 比赛啊。因为我知道有一些 Public Speaking 比赛它是 for recreational purpose 啊，只是给大家一个机会让大家锻炼一下，感受一下什么是 Public Speaking。 当然我们这个比赛也是为了锻炼我们的学生，给大家增加这种参赛的这种机会，但是这个是一个真正的跟我们的省级比赛和我们的国家级比赛接轨的一个，从赛制角度上讲，完全跟他们接轨的一个比赛啊。那很多东西我就不再细讲了哈，我就很快过一下，然后给大家更多的时间，大家可以问问题哈。几个重点大家记一下，就是比赛是在12月12号，是个周日。然后呢，面对的人群是6到12年级，我们6到8年级会开一个叫Junior Category，然后它的这个评分评奖是单独的哈，比赛的这个比赛费是30块钱，我们基本上就是一个能够帮助我们cover 这个所有的裁判费用啊，基本上是这样子，然后是在 online 是在 Zoom 上。比赛的奖励其实还蛮吸引学生的，我觉得哈，我们有这个星巴克的 gift cards，有 Linky 的 credit，然后有这个孩子们都很感兴趣的这个 cryptocurrency 哈，就是我们的数字货币哈，schedule 是12月12号，大概是从早晨到下午2点左右吧，1点半2点左右。Speaking category 这个是我想多花也不会花很多时间，大概1-2分钟给大家说一下哈。那很多人问说 public speaking 就是 public speaking， 为什么还有这么多 category？你可以把它理解成一个游泳比赛。游泳比赛有4个泳姿啊，蝶仰蛙自，所以你可以把我们的 public speaking 比赛理解成游泳的一个混合泳比赛。就是你既要游蝶泳，也要游仰泳，也要游蛙泳，也要游自由泳，它是4个不同的泳姿。那我们的public speaking 比赛呢是3个不同的这个比赛的赛制哈，那这3个赛制呢，又分成2个类型啊，一个叫这个非同步，一个叫同步。非同步实际上就是你提前把你的参赛的一个内容，把它录成一个视频，然后发给我们，裁判会根据你的视频来打一个分啊，所以这个叫 asynchronized。然后另外2个这个比赛的赛制呢是同步的，同步的意思就是这另外2个比赛都是在12月12号当天举行的。那这个非同步这个比赛呢，是你可以用 interpretive reading 或者用 solo acting 啊。那同步的比赛有2个赛制，刚才我们讲了，一个是 persuasive reading 或 after dinner speaking，另外一个是 impromptu speaking 啊。多说2句他们之间的这个区别是什么 ？interpretive reading，实际上就是你准备一个。可以是诗歌，可以是小说，可以是短篇，可以是某一个名人过去做过的一个演讲啊。我知道我参加过一些 public speaking 的比赛，我做过裁判。我在做裁判的时候，我听到过有一些学生在 interpretive reading 里面，他用比如说Martin Luther King 的一个演讲，或这个Ronald Reagan 的一个演讲哈，你可以用一些名人的演讲啊，但是用你自己的理解把它讲出来啊。那 solo acting 实际上就是我们的一个你要把你的一个 speech 把它记下来啊，然后把它表演出来。这个是 recorded， 就是你把它录成视频啊，然后发给我们。deadline 是12月3号之前啊，你把它发给我们就可以了。然后裁判会根据你的录下来的视频会来做打分。现场的比赛有2个赛制，一个是 persuasive speaking， 一个是或者 persuasive speaking 或者 after dinner speaking 是 category 2。那这2个都是 prepared， 就是你提前是准备好的啊，你提前准备好 persuasive speaking 或者是 after dinner speaking。那这2个的形式刚才田忌老师有介绍啊，我就不多说了。其实都是你要提前做准备。那第3个赛制，它也是同步比赛，就是也是在12月12号那一天举行的。 是叫 Impromptu Speaking。那这个是提前没有准备，你不知道会被问到什么样的 topics。那我们有3个 random 的在现场 random 的 topics， 你可以选其中一个，然后有2分钟的准备，然后你的整个的speaking 要4到6分钟啊。裁判会在现场根据你的speaking 来给你打分啊。所以换句话说，我们的同步赛制就是Persuasive Speaking 或者 After Dinner 和 Impromptu 都是在现场，都是在12月12号现场啊。非同步赛制是提前录制好的，12月3号之前提交啊。我希望我有说清楚啊，稍微有一点点的有一点点小复杂，但是其实你了解了就很容易啊，因为public speaking 它是一个就是是有相当的专业性的，这就为什么基本上很少有机构有能力组织这样的比赛，因为它是有一定的专业性。那我们很幸运，我们有这样的机会，我们有这样的能力，可以吸引到这些专业的裁判来，包括田忌老师这样的专业的管理人才，可以帮我们来组织这个比赛哈。所以非常这个，其实建议大家可以鼓励孩子参加啊。我们只有100个名额，那像刚才田忌老师讲的，就是先到先得了啊。虽然说比赛报名截止是11月20号，但是如果100个名额满了就满了啊。那个你再进来可能就得 waiting list 啊。所以如果是早一点的话，可以确保你能够拿到这个比赛的位置。这几个重要的日期刚才我都已经提过了哈，就是我们的报名截止是11月20号，但是如果是满了，你即便是11月20号之前报名可能也没有啊，所以早一点。我们的 Category 1就刚才我说的这个提前录制的视频是要在12月3号之前提交，同步比赛就是现场同步比赛是在12月12号。早晨9点到下午大概1点半2点的样子。好，那我非常快的用这个中文给大家说一下哈，然后我们看一下，大家可以把问题全都写到我们的 chat 里面，或者你打开话筒来，直接问也可以哈。OK， let's take a look at the questions. There's a question about provincial public speaking tournament.
I can take that one on.
Sure, please.
So the question is, my son is attending public school. If he wants to go for provincial public speaking contest, how can you register? So this tournament is actually separate from the provincial public speaking contest. So to register for the provincial public speaking one, there is probably a separate registration process for that. But to register for the Linked Key public speaking tournament, you need to create first an account on Linked Key Online, and then follow the registration link that is in the invitation package. So please look at the invitation package. It is linked on Linked Key Online under contests.
Yeah. Just a quick FYI, a student from Linky attended the provincial public speaking tournament last year. I think she won the top 6, I believe, and she got qualified for the national tournament, which is a great result.
Absolutely. So there are a few more in the chat that I'll take on. So another question is, do you prepare the persuasive or after dinner speaking beforehand, or is time given during the competition to prepare a speech? So this is something that you prepare beforehand, and ideally you have it memorized. So please write and memorize the speeches before December the 12th. You are allowed to bring like an index card, like around this big. Both sides of notes is allowed, but ideally do not use that. So memorization preferred for full points. Impromptu speaking is the category where you will basically be given random topics and will have to speak on the spot. Next question is, how do we submit the video due December the 3rd? So closer to December the 3rd, we will send out an email to all of the registered participants with a link where you can submit your video. So it'll probably be some kind of a Google form. Your video needs to be a link that we can access on Google Drive. So make sure it is shareable and it's like view only or something to that extent. But we will send out an email to all the participants closer to the December 3rd date with the Google form link. Next question is, could you link the slides? So that's a great question. We're going to basically include the link to the slides on the invitation package. So all the slides will be there on the package. Next, can we register for all of the categories? So actually, if you register for the tournament, it is mandatory that you compete in all 3 of the categories. So unfortunately, there's no, you cannot opt out of any category. However, out of each category, you must choose between one of the 2. So Henry, if you could go down into slide, maybe slide, I keep going down into the speaking categories. Yes, this one. So you do have to pick one of the 2. So for category 1, you must pick either interpretive reading or solo acting. So you cannot do both. Category 2, you must do persuasive speaking or after dinner speaking. So pick one of the 2. But students must compete in all 3 categories. That is mandatory.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I just jump in for some Chinese. Real quick. 那这个问题其实我觉得很好，就是因为大家对这个 public speaking 的比赛不是很熟悉哈。那这位家长问说，我要不要一定要注册所有的全部的3个项目？是的，就是我们这个3个项目它是一个整体你可以把它理解成我们这是游泳比赛，我们有3个泳姿，那这个游泳比赛你必须要3个泳姿的比赛都参加。你才能有一个最后的总分，你可以把它理解成一个我们叫3项全能吧，那个田径比赛有10项全能啊，就有跑跳投啊，跑步啊，投掷啊，这个跳高跳远等等。那么你可以把 public speaking 这个比赛理解成它是一个3项全能比赛。那这个3项全能就是刚才我们现在在这个屏幕上显示的，就是 category 1, 2, 3啊，实际上就是3项。但是在这个每一项里面你是有选择的，比如说 category 1， 你可以选 interpretive reading 或者 solo acting， 这个category 2 你可以选择 persuasive speaking 或者 after dinner speaking。那 category 3 你就没有选，你只有一个只有叫 impromptu speaking， 好吗？就是它你理解成是一个3项全能比赛。那只要你报名参加Linky 的 public speaking 的 tournament， 那你就是这3个比赛都要参加，你才能拿到最后的一个总分如果你有一个不参加，那你最后的总分肯定就是很难这个有竞争力很难有竞争力。那如果你参加我们的这个省赛或者这个国家赛的话，同样的道理也是一个3项全能的比赛。你是不能够只选择参加1个或者2个的，好吗？OK， let's go to the next one, Tianji.
Yeah, next one. Can you give any suggestions for a brand new pupil, such as a learning path? So I'm going to assume that this question is for new public speakers. So if you're a new public speaker, my recommendation would be first to understand all the categories first. So what are the rules, the speaking times, the topics? And then to pick one that you're most comfortable with. And then my second suggestion is to feel free to go on YouTube to type out, to search, an example of persuasive speaking. There are a lot of videos online that will give you great examples, such as the winner of some X number of public speaking tournament. Their speeches will be on YouTube for you to learn from. Next question. Any limitation of topics for the asynchronous speech? So you have no limitation for topics for asynchronous. You can choose any topic as long as it is included in the list for that category. So category 1 is interpretive reading or solo acting. So for reading, you could choose from a novel. Henry, if you can go down to slide 7. You can choose from a novel, poetry, or short story. That's for interpretive reading. And for solo acting, you could choose from a play. So as long as you're choosing within those types of written material, you have no limitation. So that's the last question. Any other questions? We'll do a last round if anyone has any leftover ones.
大家看看还有没有问题，你可以这个写在 chat 里面，或者直接你可以这个打开话筒直接问也可以。OK，如果没有的话，我们就今天就到这儿哈。今天我们本来就是预备的是半个小时的一个比赛说明会，那还是提醒大家尽量的早一点注册，因为我们的这个名额有限哈，只有100个名额，因为我们整个的这个裁判的安排啊是按照100个人的这个比赛参赛的规模安排的哈。那参赛费是30，基本上就是一个我们的裁判的费用。然后我们的这个前几名的奖励其实是蛮吸引人的哈，基本上都是100-200块加在一起的这样的一个奖励，包括 cryptocurrency 啊，就我们的数字货币和这个星巴克的 gift card 和 Linky 的 course credit 啊。所以大家早一点注册啊，这样的话可能就不会最后发现没有位置了哈。Okay, there are a couple more questions, Angie, I think.
Yeah, so I answered a few of them in the chat already. So please take a look at the chat for some of my answers. And then I got another question at the end. Are there any linked key courses that teach public speaking? Yes, we have actually a variety of courses that teach public speaking. If you go on the linked key website, you'll see that we have a bunch depending on what age your student or your child is at. So there's grades 4 to 6 public speaking. We have public speaking if they're a little bit older as well. So I don't know, Henry, if you also want to jump in to kind of talk about our public speaking courses.
Yeah, for sure. 我用中文讲哈，如果大家不能听中文，可以说一下啊，我用英文或者天气用英文讲都可以。我们的 public speaking 的课程分成三个这个不同的课程哈。那主要的区分的方法很容易，就是年龄。那第一个呢是4到6年级的课程，然后呢还有一个呢是7到8年级，还有一个是9年级以上啊，所以基本上就是我们三个课程。那这3个课程当然就是面对不同的人群，根据年龄面对不同的人群，所以根据你的小孩的年龄，你可以加入不同的这个 public speaking 的班级。我们最近的 public speaking 的课，老师会在课上有意的给大家做一些备赛的这个准备哈，就这个准备给大家做一些这个参加 public speaking tournament 比赛的一些准备哈。如果是你已经在这个 public speaking 班里面呢，就非常好。如果你没有的话，其实我可以建议大家，你可以注册一个试听或者你直接注册这个课也可以哈。如果你不确定是不是孩子喜欢，你可以先给他注册一个试听。那这个我再说一遍，年龄段哈，第一个是6到8年级，第二个班是第一个班是4到6年级，第二个班是7到8年级，第3个班是9年级以上，好吗？All right. Any more questions? Okay, I think we're good. I think we can wrap it up just for now. If you guys have further questions, just feel free to shoot us an email, maybe give us a call, or maybe you can contact us on WeChat. There are different ways you can get hold of us, right? Or email, yeah, Linky PS. Linky, PS stands for public speaking. So linkyps@gmail.com. This is a designated email account for Linky public speaking tournament. yeah, feel free to reach out, right? So we're here to answer any of your questions. All right. So anything else from you, Tianji?
Nope, I think you said everything. And we also linked the invitation package in the chat as well. So there's the link, and we'll post the slides in the invitation package.
Great, great. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.
Bye.